In the midst of all of this internet censorship going on, we've got Mississippi entering the fray. NPR. Supreme Court allows Mississippi social media law to go into effect. Check this out. The Supreme Court on Thursday refused to intervene in a lower court decision that affirmed a Mississippi law requiring users to verify their ages before using social media sites like Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. And yep, the verification is just like you would expect, as we've seen from various countries around the world. They want you to submit identification. The Mississippi law is far broader than a Supreme Court ruling just weeks ago that upheld a Texas law mandating age verification to access websites with adult material. Writing for the court's conservative supermajority in June, Justice Clarence Thomas held that requiring adults to verify their age prior to using these adult sites did not violate the First Amendment's free speech clause because it is important to shield children from this adult material. Yeah, same stuff we've heard from the UK and Australia, from the EU. You get the point. In contrast, the Mississippi law requires all users to verify their ages before using common social media sites, ranging from Facebook to Nextdoor, a social media site that connects people to their nearby neighbors. In addition to the age verification rule, the Mississippi law requires social media websites to work to prevent children from accessing harmful materials, quote unquote, and prohibits minors from using social media websites such as Instagram and YouTube without parental consent. NetChoice, a tech industry association committed to protecting online freedom, sued, arguing that the law unconstitutionally restricts 9 of its member websites, including those mentioned above: Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Nextdoor, and YouTube. NetChoice argued that the law violates the First Amendment's guarantee of free speech without governmental interference. The monitoring and censorship requirements for vague categories of speech, NetChoice argued, limits individuals' access to important information, ranging from university professors' online lectures to statements from political leaders and other creative content. Though it is within parents' interest to protect their children from harmful content, said NetChoice, there are other tools, such as web browser parental controls, that parents can use to regulate their children's online use. A district court agreed with NetChoice, temporarily stopping the Mississippi law from going into effect while proceedings continued in the lower courts. But the conservative Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals lifted the temporary block without addressing whether the law violates the First Amendment. Justice Brett Kavanaugh concurred with the court's order Thursday, but wrote, "In short, under this court's case law as it currently stands, the Mississippi law is likely unconstitutional. Nonetheless, because NetChoice has not sufficiently demonstrated that the balance of harms and equities favors it at this time, I concur in the court's denial of the application for interim relief." The Supreme Court refused to block the Fifth Circuit's decision, allowing at least temporarily for the Mississippi law to go into effect. Now, despite this going into effect around a week ago, it seems like it kind of flew under the radar with everything else going on, and as you can see, it's really over the last 24 hours or so that people began to talk about this, that it really began to get brought into the public's attention. For example, we've got a post here from only 22 hours ago on r Ask Conservatives from a user with the Flair left wing saying, "What are your thoughts on the new Mississippi state law that mandates age verification to use regular services instead of simply for adult content?" And we can see a top response here from a user with the Flair right libertarian conservative saying, "It's nanny state nonsense that doesn't really work except to sell VPN services. It's not the worst intention in the world, but parents get the privilege of managing this stuff for their children. We don't need or want the state to get involved." And then 22 hours ago, Blue Sky also got involved, saying, "Unfortunately, Blue Sky is unavailable in Mississippi right now due to a new state law that requires age verification for all users. While intended for child safety, we think this law poses broader challenges and creates significant barriers that limit free speech and harm smaller platforms like ours. With legal challenges to this law pending, we cannot justify building the expensive required infrastructure. For now, we have made the difficult decision to block access in Mississippi. To learn more, read our blog post." However, other people would respond to Blue Sky, pointing out that they capitulated to the UK's Online Safety Act. For example, this headline from The Verge titled, "Blue Sky is rolling out age verification in the UK." Another user posting the screenshot, which seems to be the age verification that they got hit with, or at least a screenshot of someone getting hit with over on Blue Sky that reads, "Verify your age. We have partnered with KWS to verify that you're an adult. When you click begin below, KWS will check if you have previously verified your age using this email address for other games/services powered by KWS technology. If not, KWS will email you instructions for verifying your age. When you're done, you'll be brought back to continue using Blue Sky. This should only take a few minutes. Your email. Use your account email address or another real email address you control in case KWS or Blue Sky needs to contact you. Preferred language, begin." and then a disclaimer about the terms of service and all that. And indeed, over on the subreddit for Blue Sky Social, we have seen posts like this during the rollout of the UK's Online Safety Act. For example, 1 month ago, this post titled UK Age Verification Troubles. As of recently, social media sites require a proof of age to access certain parts of the site. It's a face scan or your card info, but both are bouncing for me, and there's no third option. I can't even contact anyone for assistance. Is there anyone I can reach out to? I thought they would have something better than guesstimating in card info. Someone else said, word of advice, just use a stock support image of an old man. It literally works. The system is beyond messed up. But someone else said, have you actually tried this? Because I've had people say they tried and it was rejected, and or they were asked to also provide side-on footage. This other response talking about the whole like Death Stranding meme thing, which was pretty funny, but I guess for some people it didn't work out as well as it did for others, apparently, as this comment reads, going through the exact same thing, and it won't even let me use Death Stranding or stock photos as an alternative. It keeps picking up that it isn't real face. Got in contact with Blue Sky Support, who were useless, said they couldn't do anything, and just referred me to KWS Support. But KWS told me that they don't have anything to do with Blue Sky's age verification, which is a blatant lie, before telling me to get in contact with Blue Sky again instead. Honestly, what a freaking joke of a system. Hopping over to PCMag.com, they do seem a bit more hopeful that this may actually get overturned, as NPR was kind of alluding to that potential conclusion when we read their article, but PCMag elaborates on that further in this paragraph where they say, NetChoice is leaning on that last line. Quote, although we're disappointed with the court's decision, Justice Kavanaugh's concurrence makes clear that NetChoice will ultimately succeed in defending the First Amendment, not just in this case, but across all NetChoice's ID for speech lawsuits, says Paul Task, co-director of the NetChoice Litigation Center, saying this is merely an unfortunate procedural delay. They then go on to provide further information about this law, saying the Mississippi law is named after Walker Montgomery, a teenager who took his own life following an Instagram sextortion scam that demanded payment in exchange for not posting intimate material of him online. These types of schemes are on the rise, especially among young boys, and the law is intended to prevent kids from encountering bad actors on the hunt for a payday. Now, obviously, this is a tragic and terrible thing. However, hate to say, but it seems like Mississippi is really just using this law to try and enact these regulations on people, similarly to what we've seen elsewhere in the world, except they're specifically using this young man and the terrible thing that happened to try and justify this, which, if anything, I would say is actually insulting to him. Yeah, it's a shame that he's being used to try and justify this by the Mississippi government. But let me know what you think about all this stuff in the comments, and thank you for tuning in. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend. I look forward to seeing you here in the comments and in the next one. Oh yeah, and if you like this coverage, consider liking or subscribing too. That would be much appreciated.